All right. There we are. And let's get all those messy notifications out of the way. And there we are. All righty. Hello, world. My name is Donn, and you're watching Showcase for the week ending Sunday, May 22nd, 2022. This is our Friday show, and that means movie trailers, TV trailers. We got one or two things for video games tonight, apparently. And of course, your live chat comments. Thanks so much for joining me. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscription bell. And as always, if you're with me live, go ahead and drop a line in the live chat, and I might read it off on the air. So tonight we're going to go ahead and take a look at a lot of different things. We have a couple of video game trailers, like I said. We got a couple things from Hulu, some from Netflix, something from Disney Plus that has been making a lot of waves all week long. I'm sure y'all can see on the opposite side of my screen here a little preview of what our playlist looks like this week. We actually have a special guest coming in and joining us a little bit later in the show. We're going to go ahead and bring that individual in at a slightly later point. For now, let's go ahead and get started with this first item on the docket here tonight. This is the trailer for what looks like an Angry Birds expansion pack for Minecraft. And judging by these character designs, this looks to be a more direct tie into the video game the movie than the video games. But anyway, I guess we'll find out. Here's the Minecraft Angry Birds trailer from the Xbox. Oh, shoot. Hang on one second. I'm sorry. This whole thing isn't. My mistake. Hang on one second. Had some slight audio difficulties there. Hang on. Yep, that's the problem. I forgot to turn the volume up. My mistake. Sorry about that. All right, here we go. Red and the pigs all rendered in Minecraft. It's like this looks like some sort of an extension for Minecraft Dungeons thing. Clyde, right? And the close guy. Yeah, these are all basically the character designs from the movie rendered in Minecraft, clearly. Really reminiscent of Dungeons more than anything else. They're really trying to emulate that mobile game, clearly. It's so bizarre, so surreal seeing this mobile game done in Minecraft style. Yeah, let me just go ahead and say a couple things really quickly about this. Like, I liked the movies. That's the only frame of reference that I have for this. I'm going to say liked, not loved. I did not love the movies, okay? But I understood what the first movie set out to do, as far as like come up with a narrative that like ultimately explains the big draw for this whole brand in general, which in the beginning really was just about putting all these different colored birds in a giant slingshot to destroy statues and take out pigs. That's all that the mobile game basically was back in the day. Clearly, like they just wanted to make a movie to capitalize on this IP in a way that explains the necessity of a slingshot and putting birds in it, as opposed to like having them fly. Like, really, I think they actually addressed that in the movie. Like, you're birds, why can't you fly? But anyway, I remembered enough of the second movie to know that there was a second movie, but it was a largely forgettable movie, if I'm being brutally honest. But in any event, let's see. Hey, it looks like we have our guest here with us tonight. Hello, can you hear me?
Hey, yes, I can.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is a friend of the show and copyright and trademark expert, Miss Lillian Koas-Ravi. Some of you may remember she's been a recurring presence on the show off and on the last year and a half or so. Lillian, good to see you again. How are you doing?
Good to see you, Donn. How are you?
Doing good, thank you. I trust you've been well.
Keeping busy anyway.
Yeah, aren't we all? Well, it's good to see you again. Thanks for taking a little time to join me on sorry, I almost said weird news. Oh my goodness, trailer reactions. I'm still looking forward to weird news because we have a lot of cool stuff to look forward to on Sunday. But we're just looking at, I was just in the middle of talking about this Minecraft expansion, something to do with the Angry Birds movie. Are you familiar with Angry Birds at all?
Oh yeah, I was that age when that first became an app. I remember everybody in college playing that or in high school. So
Okay, okay. All right, is this something that that you might be curious to try out a little bit? I know you just missed the trailer, but I don't know, like where's kind of the line where an IP is sort of like being shamelessly sort of like capitalized on? You know what I mean?
I feel like with Angry Birds, that was the movie that was released a couple years ago, let
Yeah, there were
alone
two of
any
them.
sequels.
Yeah.
But at the same time, hey, that's why IP is valuable. I
Mhm.
mean, think about it. Some people created a really simple little app, and I'm presuming that they trademarked it, that they copyrighted it, and now
Yeah.
they've probably made bank off of it.
Undoubtedly. Like at this point, I'm almost kind of wondering if they're actually gonna if I'm trying to remember. I think it was Columbia is the studio that makes the movies. I'm almost wondering if they're making a third movie because like they're still making the mobile games in this franchise. Why are they doing this Minecraft expansion in a way that's clearly inspired more after the movie designs than the original game designs? But there's probably a larger conversation in there to be had, or probably an interview or something if we're lucky that I haven't seen yet. But because I only just saw this trailer basically for the first time, but we have to move along. Let's go ahead and get going. Actually, this is perfect timing because this is actually this next item on the docket that we're going to look at here is actually the meat and potatoes of why I wanted you here tonight. I think it was Tuesday when Disney dropped the first trailer for the She-Hulk show that's coming on Disney Plus in August. I don't know how familiar you are with this character or like Marvel Comics in general.
Yeah, I know about the She-Hulk. I mean, she's an attorney. Wasn't she
Mhm.
Bruce Banner's cousin or something like that?
Yes, that's right.
All right. See, I know a little bit of my lore.
Okay.
Um, so I
Okay.
mean, I've been keeping up with the Marvel shows on Disney, and I feel like they've done a pretty good job. I mean, I wouldn't call myself a hardcore Marvel comics fan, so I haven't read a ton of them, but just coming in as like a layperson with a little bit of a nerdy leaning, I've been pretty entertained so far by what they've had coming out. So
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well, let's see if they maintain that good track record going into I think it was August 17 is when they had announced the full show was going to drop, or at least the first episode. They're doing everything episodically or
Mhm.
weekly, I should say. Every individual episode in this. But here's the first trailer that just dropped on Tuesday. Let's take a look, and I really want to hear like how you respond to it. Let's take a look. Here's She-Hulk from Disney Plus.
Being a superhero is a trial by fire. Who's gonna protect the world if not people like you?
I remember seeing this during the 2023 footage that they put out.
I'm Jennifer Walters. I'm a lawyer. I have great friends.
Can we get some shots, please? It's an emergency.
A demanding job.
We just started a superhuman law division, and I want you to be the face of it.
And a frustrating family.
Because
Tim
we
Roth
didn't
from
ask for this, but
2008
you
Incredible
still
Hulk
gotta
movie.
deal with it. Your transformations are triggered by anger and fear.
Those are like the baseline of any woman just existing.
Oh.
Bruce, kind of feels like if I don't transform, I'm gonna die.
There we go.
Yes, yes, yes. No, no.
I just want to be a normal, anonymous lawyer.
Can you tell us where She-Hulk is?
Jen, you're a story now.
Girl, your ass looks crazy right now. You could be an Avenger.
Oh, I'm not a superhero. That is for billionaires and narcissists and adult orphans for some reason. Is there anything more depressing than dating in your 30s?
Yeah, this is the best date I've had in a while.
Oh,
Should we split some fries?
let's get those to go.
Whereas that that death by snoo snoo reference, basically. I don't know if any Futurama fans in the audience tonight, but anyway, so that was She-Hulk from Disney Plus. Lillian, what's your first reaction to this?
I mean, it definitely looks fun. It's something I'm sure I'm going to watch it when it comes out. It's always interesting how they, like, for example, the lawyers, how they're portrayed. But at the same time, I think it could be really interesting based off of like anger and fear being kind of the triggering points for the Hulk, essentially, for her. I mean, that's a lot of being a trial attorney. So it is
like, how many times have you been? So how many times? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was about to say. So I mean, I'm surprised she's not just constantly hulked out.
Well, as I understand it, in the comics and in the animated series version of her in the 90s, they just basically addressed that by having her be green all the time. Like they didn't really give the Jennifer version of her, basically, or normal Jennifer version of her, like much screen time anyway. And so that's a plausible, I guess, way to be able to deal with that. But it's funny the way that you describe that. It's almost like how often in some sort of like, I don't know, cross-examination during a trial or something has like a witness just frustrated you to the point where you can't help but feel you're turning a little bit green just by default out of frustration or whatever. Because like the witness is being hostile, so to speak.
So much. Anytime you have a deposition, anytime you have to deal with opposing counsel, it's, I'm glad that I don't have as bad of a tell as she does.
But see, there's another angle to this that I'm looking forward to seeing how they deal with, which is, I don't know if you saw Civil War, the third Captain America film. Yeah. So you're familiar with the Sokovia Accords. Yeah. So like, that's the elephant in the room. If you're going to tell a story like this, where you're actually addressing the, not just societal, but the legal ramifications of superhumans existing, which is something that that's not really covered above and beyond, guilty or innocent. And then do they go to like some insane asylum or prison indefinitely or not? There's a lot more nuance to, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, you know this better than I do. There's a lot more nuance to the legal profession than just plain and simple cut and dry guilt and innocence, right? Like how, like, are you interested in like, in seeing where they could possibly go as far as sort of exploring the ramifications of that in the context of Marvel, in the context of superheroes?
Well, I think one thing that would be really interesting to kind of see where they go with it. A lot of like, for example, with the Sokovia Accords, was that exactly?
Yeah. The superhuman registration thing. Yeah.
I mean, that kind of, in some ways, I see parallels with different types of international humanitarian law. You have certain treaties that come into place. There are certain accords that come into place as new technology. So, for example, just within our own reality, as things like nuclear weapons, chemical weapons started to come into play, suddenly they had to change the rules of war. And there were certain things that are just kind of written out saying, we have to deal with this a certain way, or we can't allow this to happen when you look at some of these different treaties. And so it kind of plays with that in the sense of, so you have these new, in this case, superheroes, but depending on how they're looked at, I mean, they could be seen as new weapons, because imagine they play for one side, that side has a distinct advantage over the other side. How do you handle that? And then the wreckage that comes out of some of these things. I mean, I feel like Marvel's done a good job kind of addressing from the first Avengers movie, the destruction of New York, essentially, or in the Civil War, and also Age of Ultron, everything that happened with Sokovia, destruction, basically. Like, when destruction can happen on that level, countries basically have to get together and figure out, how do we handle this?
Yeah. I seem to remember Dr. Manhattan from that famous graphic novel Watchmen was an interesting and fascinating case study for how what you're describing can be applied on an international level. You're talking about treaties, you're talking about larger societal ramifications of superhumans existing among us, and what does that mean for our culture, socially, politically. There are larger conversations to be had about that, and how this sort of thing can actually be treated allegorically with like all sorts of political connotations to it. But these are conversations that can be sort of dove into on a more thorough level once this actually drops. But I'm looking forward to seeing this. August 17 is when this is going to drop on Disney Plus. Are you looking forward to it as well?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely.
Cool.
I'll definitely be watching it. Actually, it drops on my birthday, so I'll have to, happy birthday to me. I'll have to watch it.
Nice. Perfect timing. I didn't know that. Hashtag Leo season.
Right.
Anyway, let's move on. Next topic, or next trailer, I should say. This is a video game. This is a crossover video game called MULTIVERSUS. I don't know if you've heard about this at all.
I haven't heard of the game, no.
Well, this is another big reason why I'm glad that you're here tonight, because this is basically I'm guessing you're familiar with Super Smash Brothers, this big beat 'em up video game. That's of course, yeah.
Oh yeah, I was the reigning champ at my high school.
Wait, are you serious?
Oh, I was good back in the day.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. Okay.
But we're talking like Super Smash Brothers me, like it's been a while.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. You have a big serious professional career now. I know it's been a while, but like, hey, it's just like riding a bike. But no. But seriously, MULTIVERSUS, this is like a Smash Brothers type of thing, but with a lot of different intellectual property characters combined at the same time. Like you see Batman and Shaggy in that thumbnail, but they have a lot of different Cartoon Network and Warner Brothers characters in here. You have Looney Tunes characters fighting Ed, and Eddie, your Steven Universe, and somebody like that, like in the same game. Basically, it's a really sort of fascinating case study about what is possible when you sort of like just, well, frankly, throw all your toys on the floor and see what happens. Like that's basically what this sort of thing came across as when I read the synopsis of it. And apparently this is a straight up cinematic trailer. Let's take a look. Here's MULTIVERSUS from DC.
Strange energy signature detected.
Uh-oh.
Computer, what's my location? Computer.
It's like Fortnite.
Hey, dude, what's going on here?
Where am I?
What's up, Doc?
I don't recognize her.
Hey!
Whoa!
Really?
What'd I do to you?
Oh, Ultra Instinct Shaggy, that famous viral meme. Oh, Wabbit is down. Done. Garnet from Steven Universe.
Whoa, you all right? Wow, that was messed up how that thing tornadoed you.
I
was wondering if that was Taz.
You are the cutest little guy. I'm calling you Slobber, because you look like your name might be Slobber.
Wow.
You're gonna pay for attacking Slobber.
It's amazing how many of the authentic voices they seem to have gotten back to this.
Look out below!
I don't know what's happening here, but this looks like a job for...
That doesn't sound like the Justice League.
Oh my
All
gosh,
right,
Iron
then.
Giant.
You're with me.
Oh, wow.
Okay. This is brain popping here, basically. Yeah, Player First Games. That's the company that developed this. Holy crap. Where to even begin with this? Like, this is okay. As an intellectual property and like copyright and trademark attorney, like a project like this has to make your head explode. Like, how does this what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, one thing for sure is, and you can see it right at the top there, Warner Brothers definitely played a part in this. I mean, they own a lot of the rights to DC anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have a lot of the DC, like that's why you see a lot of the the comics, the DC comics, like the Batman TV shows that we watched growing up and whatnot, were on Warner Brothers. And then of course they have all the old Hanna-Barbera, they have the Looney Tunes, they have the Scooby-Doo. But some of them I was like surprised because you get some Cartoon Network kind of properties in there. I don't know which studio, if it's just Cartoon Network that owns them or if there's this particular studio that has the rights to them, but things like Steven Universe and Adventure Time, that kind of threw me because, you know, I could see kind of a big studio like Warner Brothers kind of throwing a bunch of their properties into something and seeing if it can kind of shake something up. But seeing like some crossovers between even animation studios was kind of crazy. Like, oh, these are like, there's some very good contracts in place.
Yeah, I would think so. This is like, I kind of lost track, I'll be honest with you, because you had Looney Tunes in here, you had Cartoon Network Studios in here, you had the old Hanna-Barbera Studios in here, right? Tom and Jerry running through there. You had obviously DC with Batman and Harley Quinn and Superman, and I saw Wonder Woman at the end there. I think that's all the major studios in play there. I mean, and this is just off rip. That's the thing. This is advertising an open beta that's going to be happening in July. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the alpha testing is going to be happening next weekend. It's like at the very end of this month or going into June, and then it's going to be a minute before the beta kicks in July, obviously. But like this game isn't officially even out yet, is my point. Once it is, presumably all of these characters that we've seen in this trailer are going to be like right off the rip, like available. But holy crap, the DLC options for something like this are insane. If you thought Smash Brothers Ultimate had a robust character roster, which it certainly did by the time that Nintendo was done supporting that, and the creative director was ready to shut the whole thing down. I mean, it boggles the mind, the potential for what this game could be in the long run if this is where they're starting out at. You know,
well, one thing that could be kind of fun too, just from the perspective of animation studios, is I wonder, as we get some characters perhaps that haven't really gotten a lot of screen time in recent years, if there might be a revival, or if maybe in some ways some of the studios are kind of making a play for a revival. I mean, obviously you see some of the more popular characters, but I don't know how many I should say younger generations know who the Iron Giant is.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, when did that movie come out? Like 98, 99, something like that? It's been a while, but I know that famously Vin Diesel, Dominic Toretto himself, was the voice of Iron Giant in that movie. I couldn't tell for sure if they got either him or his voice samples from the movie for that, because he didn't really have too terribly much dialogue in the movie anyway. So it's not really, that wouldn't be all that hard to do, unless, like, I mean, they just started principal photography on Fast 10 very recently. So like, if we are lucky, really lucky, they got him right before they went wheels up on that. I think they're in Australia shooting that right now. I think, don't quote me on that. But I know they're actively shooting that movie right now. They would have had to have gotten him right before they started that in order to pull that off, if they actually got him in the current time for that. So I'm really, this is really making me actually more curious to do research on it more than even play it, which is saying something, considering I am really looking forward to playing this game. And it is going to be on all platforms, Xbox, PlayStation, Steam. I think I'm trying to remember if Amazon Luna is going to get a version of this as well, and Switch, obviously. Well, we may need to do more research on that at a later time, but I'm really looking forward to covering this, and maybe even hopefully playing it in a stream as this gets closer towards the open beta and then the major release. Is this something you might like to play, hopefully?
Yeah, I mean, if the opportunity arose, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean, I'm excited to see how far they take it as far as the cast of characters and just kind of, because some of my friends are Warner Brothers animators, so I've learned about all these different characters that people seem to have forgotten about over the decades.
Oh, wow.
And so it's fun to be like, oh, I wonder if some of these characters are going to show up here.
Yeah, that's gonna be a really exciting long game to play, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens as we sort of go forward past launch. I don't remember exactly when they're looking to place launch for that game, but given that the open beta is going to be hitting in July, it stands to reason that like September maybe October at latest is when we're going to actually see a full public release for version 1 of that game. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on. Next item is from Netflix. I don't know how much time you can be here for, but I'm going to be streaming until 9:30. I think in behind the scenes conversations before the show, you said for about a half hour or so.
Yeah, I could probably watch one more and then might have to peace out after that.
No problem. This is actually probably a good one to exit on because I actually saw bits and pieces of this, as you can tell from the little red bar at the bottom of this. I couldn't stop the playback before I added into the playlist beforehand, but this actually looks like a really fascinating premise that I wanted to have a quick legal conversation with you about when we get to on the other side of it. But here's Spiderhead from Netflix. Oh, sorry. Here it is.
Also,
oh, darn it. I forgot to turn the sound back on. There it is.
Third time's a charm.
Hello again.
Sorry I'm late, Mr. Amnesty.
Not late at all. That's Spiderhead.
We're proud of our work.
Your presence in this facility, while technically a punishment, is a privilege.
Where have you been?
Drug study? In science, we have to explore the unknown.
They've been testing me up and down. A lot weirder stuff than usual.
This is new frontier stuff here.
Oh God, that's Thor with an American accent.
Permission to administer 1040.
This place can really mess with your head.
Drip on. Acknowledge. Drip on.
Acknowledge.
Acknowledge.
Yeah, acknowledge.
Let's do this. Are we getting this?
This doesn't feel right.
Time to worry about crossing lines was a lot of lines ago. Our work will save lives. Not just one life, many lives. We're making the world a better place. What you want is redemption. And this is how you're gonna find it.
We're selling peace and harmony itself.
Symbolism and foreshadowing here.
Beautiful people get away with too much, and I say that having benefited myself from time to time.
Well, at least he's modest. Honest, actually, more than modest. Anyway, June 17. All right. Oh my God. Wait a minute. Very recent poet. Oh God. Okay. This really makes me look forward to this movie now. Those last names that hit that flash across the screen, Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, those are the guys who wrote Zombieland, and if I'm not mistaken, the first Deadpool. And Joseph Kosinski, if I'm not mistaken, that's the guy who directed Tron Legacy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's a superstar lineup then.
That's
once I got past the jarring effect of Thor with an American accent, it got interesting.
Yeah, that's going to take a little bit of getting used to, but this is holy crap. But back to the little bit in the beginning, I sort of alluded to a legal conversation I wanted to have with you about this. The idea of this looks like, on the surface, this looks like some sort of a drug trial of some kind, like or a unique sort of psychological case study. What are your thoughts on like the legal ramifications of something like this? Like, is this something that there's like anything that could be like plausible from a realistic standpoint? Like, you think like there are real world sort of legal ramifications from studies like this actually happening, and what must those disclosures and like consent forms even look like? Like, where would you even begin to like, okay, your participation in something like this? Like, I can't even imagine.
Well, I mean, I just remember like from law, but also from psychology classes. I mean, there is a history of case studies being done on humans that were essentially shut down for being unethical. And I mean, this does play with what is that line? Mm-hmm. And, are they consenting to it? Because I mean, there was that whole history. I don't know if you're familiar. I think it was at Harvard. It was at one of the Ivy Leagues that there were studies being done on some of the students. And some people say that the reason the Unabomber was how he was is because of what happened to him in those studies. Now, that's, speculation. You can watch it in one of those Netflix documentaries, but there are consequences and there are legal ramifications. And if you can tie something back to something like this, I mean, there's the question of, is a consent form enough? Because can you ever really know what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
Can you really consent to something that's going to lead to your death, except maybe joining the military?
Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
It's, I think it is an interesting study in kind of, especially with drug trials and different kinds of things like that. I mean, yeah, there's a million papers people have to sign, but if it all goes terribly wrong, are there still ramifications? Can you legally go after somebody? Well, I think it depends. So it's hard.
If someone offered you the opportunity to participate in something like this, where you could test out this substance or this pill or this like beverage or whatever that taps into a part of your brain that helps you perpetually relive your best memory, would you do that? Like, what would, do you think you would sign off on participating in something like that?
That's an interesting question. I mean, it almost reminds me of the experiment with rats, where it's, the pleasure button versus the food button. And the rats that hit the pleasure button until they're dead because they just live in having pleasure instead of eating.
Mm-hmm. The second they're in and the second they just left, that's the only concept of time they really understand.
So, I mean, in some ways, yeah, it'd be amazing to relive the best moment of your life. But in some ways, getting trapped in the best moment of your life, wouldn't everything else be that much worse?
Well, wouldn't that depend on just how much the process of getting plugged into that best moment disconnects you from being environmentally and situationally aware of the world outside of your own mind? Like if you're able to, it's sort of like how, okay, as I'm sitting here talking to you in front of the entire world, I can remember one of my best memories in life. Mm-hmm. Like I'll go to the day I graduated from NSU. I'll get the day I graduated from college. I'll just cling to that as a really positive memory in my life. As I'm sitting here in this conversation, I can remember that, but my ability to remember that and get back in the headspace of how elated I was to finally be done with school, like that doesn't prevent me from being able to engage in this conversation. Like my ability to remember does not supersede my ability to be engaged with you in real time. So if we're talking about a drug that its sole purpose is to completely unplug you from life so that you can like involve yourself in the memory, that the drug's whole purpose is to help you relive, that might be a good place to sort of place the line. Mm-hmm. I guess, at least it would strike me, but yeah. I guess.
Well, I mean, it's that difference between, because we can remember things. And I mean, I'm certainly not a neuroscientist, but I mean, thinking back on happy things, I think it affects us in certain ways where it's like almost looking back at something has a different effect than actually living through it. Because you think about different elements versus when you're actually in that moment. And you also kind of highlight on what was the important aspects of it. And
the morals or the lessons you took away from it.
And the other thing too is I feel like we can remember our best moments. And I mean, our best moments were our best moments, but we can still remember them in a kind of a rose-colored way, more so than how they actually were, because we think about how we felt or whatever it was. I think that, there's almost something about remembering things, because you can remember something and forget maybe something that was bad about it, or you knew how it was going to end. So you can think back on something positively, where in the moment, maybe you weren't sure if it was going to be a positive thing or not. So I do think that thinking back on something, it does have a different effect than necessarily reliving things. Like kind of the prospect of, I mean, I certainly wouldn't be my best moment, but if I told you, oh, think back to something fun that happened in high school versus would you want to relive something from high school?
Well, I guess it sounds like you're about to go towards saying like it would ultimately depend on the memory that you're sort of reliving, like the day that you beat all your friends in Smash for the first time. or the day you played Angry Birds for the first time, right? That was, beat Angry Birds for the first time. I guess that would be a more positive sort of memory to go ahead and encapsulate and relive potentially. But I guess it would just, like I was saying, depend on the memory, depend on the takeaway from it. Obviously, there's a lot of memories that people can have, that a person can have, that you wouldn't want to relive. So I guess it's really incumbent on the engineers and the designers of the substance that's being tested to make sure that they're not inadvertently strapping you in to relive your worst day. And they think that they're setting you up for the best one. This is a slightly more neuroscience heavy film project than legal happy, but it's still an interesting sort of conversation to be had. I'm looking forward to this. Go ahead.
I mean, I have to say it also goes to the philosophy, and it goes to ethics, and is it right, is it wrong, and dealing with just human experimentation. Like, how far is too far?
Yeah.
Looking at some of the most horrific parts of our history as humans, we did learn things out of them. I mean, some horrible human experiments were done during different wars, things like that. And they never should have happened. But at the same time, there was information and there was knowledge gleaned out of it. So where is the line?
Yeah. But this is, so back to Spiderhead. The movie in and of itself, I'm really inclined to watch this. Like, this is one of those things that I legitimately feel like I don't know enough about the subject material that this is referencing and trying to play around with. Like, I think I get it enough to engage in a conversation about it, but it's like, this trailer is really doing its job as far as really sort of inspiring you to look forward to seeing just how far this rabbit hole goes down this path of really doing this, of thinking about consent, everything from consent to neuroscience, like how the human mind works, how emotions work, how memories work, and not make everything so like cutesy multicolored like what we got in Pixar back in 2015. I don't know if you saw Inside Out.
I didn't see it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, really good movie, by the way. But anyway, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that movie. When does it come out again? Trying to remember.
June 13th.
June 17th. There you go. There's the date for that. All right. So that's it for Spiderhead from Netflix. There's a few trailers to go before we close out this hour, but I guess this is the point where you have to get off of the stream, unfortunately. But thanks so much again, Lillian, for your time tonight. Really appreciate you coming through and talking with me on these topics. And
had fun and got to see some things that I'm looking forward to potentially getting to see. So thanks for having me on.
Cool. My pleasure. Have a good weekend, and hopefully we'll catch up again real soon.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
All right.
Thanks,
Good night.
Good night.
All right. So moving on, next item on the docket. Ooh, ow, geez. Sorry, everybody, had a thing in my eye right there. All right. Let's go ahead to the next item on the list. We have a teaser trailer for a show that has really had a lot of surprising success from Hulu lately. They're going into the second season right now. Something called Only Murders in the Building. I had heard a lot of positive buzz on this. I missed the first run of it, but this the feedback that I've read, the reviews that I've read on that show actually are really inspiring me to check that out. I might have to add that to my Hulu queue later on, in the anticipation of this latest run, depending on how good this teaser is. Let's see. Here is Only Murders in the Building from Hulu.
Look at you. You have no idea how much trouble you're in, do you?
Michael Rappaport.
Goody, the murderers are here.
We were framed.
We'll all be on the podcast.
Still have that boom mic?
You bet your ass I do, kid. Well, I don't actually. I returned it in the 30-day window to get my deposit. But I can get it back.
Evidence keeps showing up in our apartments.
Is that the murder weapon?
Someone's toying with us. If it was simply about getting us caught, the police would be banging down that door. Why am I holding this knife?
Wow.
We need to find the real killer.
Seem to have a lot of guest stars here.
Us.
We can't be seen breaking into apartments.
No one has to see us breaking in.
My God. We're getting the hang of this.
Absolutely. You can tell it's our second season.
Okay. So yeah, that's Only Murders in the Building. This is a really zany sort of mystery comedy type of thing. Millennial plus two boomers solving a murder mystery. Okay. I watched that. Like I said, I missed out on the first season, but that actually looks like a lot of fun. Like I actually like random zany situational. I hesitate to say sitcoms. It's more of a specific sort of story-driven situational comedy instead of like just a refillable sitcom like you would ordinarily attach a laugh track to. Like there's something deeper on shows like this that actually have a continuity to it, that have a mythology to it, that have a through line, and it's really easy, depending on how well it's executed, to sort of lose yourself in that mythology and follow it. The really good shows are able to do that well. And it looks like they haven't lost a step here based on what I read about the first season. And I'm really looking forward to actually watching that for myself, especially going into the second episode, the second set of episodes here. I did not expect this to work out as well as it has. Honestly, I really wasn't, but I'm pleasantly surprised by the reception that it's gotten so far. I'm looking forward to it. Let's move on. This next item on the docket is again from Hulu. This is I'm not going to say a reboot. I'm sorry. It's a continuation of a really interesting science fiction comedy that used to be on Fox for a couple of years, and then Hulu picked it up for an expanded run of episodes that was actually delayed after the pandemic hit, and now we're finally getting it. This is the Orville New Horizons, and let's take a look.
A traveler comes upon the statue of an emperor, inscribed with the words, "My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look upon my works and despair." Only there's nothing left beside it, except empty desert.
It is good
Really
to be
amazing
back.
visuals.
I really wish they'd let us play music up here.
Why?
Because we'd already be on our feet, ready for action.
We have considered your request for passage through our territory, and we will not stop you. But do not expect us to save you.
Kalon ship pursuing.
Exploration always carries risk. I say we risk it.
Everything forbidden is sweet. This is a good day.
It is a good day.
You do know where you're going, right?
Nope.
Oh boy.
Let's go make some history.
I didn't prepare anything.
Just speak from your heart.
We're about to enter unexplored space. I know you're all just as excited as I am, so
let's give this everything we got, and may the force be with you.
Ooh!
What was that?
Perfect.
Heresy.
We've
Ooh.
served together. We've laughed together. And we all owe each other our lives.
you will surrender or you will die.
Gordon! On it! And it's a very special thing.
We should all get big bonuses.
This is history in the making.
Here's to a better future.
I will be sure to bring my, what does Lieutenant Malloy call it? My A game.
There you go, buddy.
We have to find a way to preserve some kind of peace.
Looks like the show really has stepped up.
Humans have a
their production quality.
tendency to reduce things to black and white, good and evil.
We can
Still
find
got
a way
top-notch
to
visuals
coexist.
and effects.
You're Kalon. Your people would like to see us all dead. After all these years, you're still able to surprise me.
Show the galaxy that humans are different, that we value life even when our enemies don't.
Captain, you are being deceived.
It's almost like yesterday was one life. And today's another.
Man,
Everything's
this is
different on
gonna be
this side of
nuts.
time.
This is gonna be nuts.
Definitely worth the wait.
I was just about to ask about that. Okay, so, man, all right. So this is the overall structure and composition of this. It's like it's another montage happy sort of preview. They've clearly got all their episodes in the can. They've been holding on to them for a while, obviously thanks to the pandemic. It's been a long time coming since the last episode of this show ran on network on Fox before Hulu picked it up. And I'm really glad to see that they brought everybody back. I'm glad to see that they like really sort of like maintained the same level of production quality and the caliber of guest appearances that they've brought into here that they've clearly alluded to over the course of this montage here. I mean, this is now a really anticipated show for me. I was sort of like on the fence about whether or not to pick it up again, honestly, you know, because like my docket is already kind of full as it is of things to watch that I do not have time really to sort of like watch everything that I want to see. Unfortunately, I got to like really carefully space it out. That's the one unfortunate thing about living in this era of streaming that we're in right now, is like there's so much amazing content if you keep your mind open and you know what to look for and like how to look for it. If you have like specific tastes or specific likes, specific genres. We have a YouTube comment. Hey, the Family guy. This looks like fun. ... Yeah, it does. It does look like fun. I can't wait for this to come out. Like, I'm really looking forward to seeing this trailer, this full show now. It's like, this is, and by the way, I saw Penny Johnson-Gerald in here. Like, I can't see her in anything without thinking of Sherry Palmer from 24. Remember Dennis Haysbert's wife in the first 3 seasons of 24? That was her there. And like, she did such a good job in that show. For some reason, that's where my brain goes to whenever I see her face and anything else. Like, I immediately go back to like 24. But that was an amazing character. That was an amazing job that she did in that show. They all the actors in that show were amazing. But anyway, this show is like, and also the Gordon character, I don't remember the actor's name, Scott something, I think. I don't remember his last name, I'm sorry, but he also works with Seth MacFarlane on American Dad. That much I know. And it's everything that guy does is amazing, including all of the songs that they have the son on that show do. He's very musically talented, and yeah, it's always amazing to see him and stuff. I know he was also in the final season of ER, either the last one or the last 2 seasons of ER as well. I don't know why it's escaping me his last name. God, somebody in the comments can, criticize me later for that untitledly. But anyway, but this looks like a really fun show to watch, and this trailer really did its job. I give this one a definite thumbs up from me there. That was the Orville New Horizons from Hulu. Let's go ahead and move on. We have 3 left. We have a couple spinoffs from the CW, or rather, I guess, a couple more like prequels than spinoffs. There's Walker, the Walker Texas Ranger reboot that Jared Padalecki has been running on that network since Supernatural went off the air. And then the other trailer is a prequel to Supernatural itself, which undoubtedly will involve copious amounts of retconning and infuriating a diehard fan base that kept that brand alive for 15 years on this network. So, okay, we will see how that goes. And by the way, once again, thanks so much to those of you at home who are watching right now on YouTube or live via Instagram at Weekend Showcase. Goodness, I don't know why I keep getting eyelashes in my eye. Good grief. Ouch. Or something in my eye. Maybe pollen. Anyway, I need to close my vents. All right. So let's go ahead and move into this next trailer. Like I was saying, we have a couple prequels from the CW. This first one is Walker Independence. Let's take a look.
Just spend your whole life in one place. Going somewhere new can suddenly be
scary.
Oregon Trail, I guess.
More than you will ever know. This place,
Is it our destiny?
it's what we make of it.
Catherine McNamara from
It's probably just an animal.
the final season of Arrow and the Mortal Instruments TV show. Uh-oh.
Abby.
Oh, let me guess. The whole show has to be about her avenging his murder, right? If she doesn't die here, that's what it's going to be about. calling it now. That's exactly what it's about.
What are you feeling?
This guy's jawline could like cut a steak.
My husband, he was supposed to be the sheriff of Independence. Do you know where that is?
I'll take you there.
You know,
The way that they've set this plot up, it looks very reminiscent to the Lone Ranger movie from 2013 that Disney put out.
Independence.
Pardon me, Your Highness.
What sort of a man drinks during the day?
Oh, the kind that doesn't care what royalty thinks of me.
Or the kind with something to hide. People aren't what they seem. You're the new sheriff?
Is something rattling you?
You seem awfully on edge.
Your name?
My name is Abigail. Abigail Walker.
Lineage.
My husband was killed.
Yeah, so okay, so she's the ancestor of the Jared Padalecki character from the original show, or the reboot show, I should say.
This is a risk I'm not willing to take. You are going to get yourself killed.
He deserves to die for what he did.
Yeah, they really. Hey, Mark A. Shepard, another supernatural veteran.
Big plans for this place.
No one knows who he really is.
Snakes shed their skin eventually.
You asked me if I was staying here for revenge or something else. Maybe it's justice, one way or another.
Yeah, I see what they're trying to do ultimately. This is like, they're clearly trying to do something along the lines of Lone Ranger 2013, which is basically the exact same kind of story. You have a character who's left for dead, basically in the desert, basically, and then Native Americans find this person who was left for dead and sort of nurses them back to health and points them in the direction of the nearest piece of like industrialization for the time period, you know, and then they sort of go on this semi-vigilante sort of quest for revenge that ultimately results in them becoming the new town sheriff. Yeah, and it's like, we've seen this story before. I don't know like why this needs to be stretched out into a full series, let alone one that's a period piece prequel to a reboot that are we still like sure that we need? I don't even know. See, I hesitate to actually straight up call out shows or movies as things that shouldn't exist, you know, or that I personally don't think should exist. I mean, even though this show is like a review show, basically, like this is what we're supposed to do here. It's like review and react and criticize and that sort of thing. But like, I'm fully aware that there's a lot of moving parts that goes into movie production or TV production. And it's like, I hesitate to put this whole production that far under the bus. But as an audience member, if I take what I know of the industry out of my brain enough to make this statement here, as an audience member, I can't be compelled by this. You know, and the main reason for that just boils down to the story is just way too familiar. And, you know, I actually like the 2013 Lone Ranger film. I know that wasn't very widely well received. If I remember right, it was pretty poorly received on Rotten Tomatoes. But and by the way, I remember a few years back, Disney Plus was supposed to pick up the rights to that movie and put it on their content library. To my knowledge, they never did. I don't know what happened. Like if I were to pull up Disney Plus right now, you couldn't find that on there. I'm pretty sure. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I don't want to like misquote this. Hang on a second. Hang on one second. Let me go ahead and like look into this. I don't want to like give bad information live on air here, basically. LONE. Yes, I'm doing this right now because apparently I have to be my own sort of researcher, basically. Here we go. So this is okay. So right now, apparently, you know, all the usual video movie rental places still have it up. Apple TV, Amazon, Google, YouTube, Vudu, etc. But like still Disney Plus doesn't have it. Why? Makes no sense. But anyway, point is, we've seen this before, and I don't see this as being anything short of predictable. And there's really only one place that the whole series, if not the season, can go, especially if next year winds up being a repeat of this season, where a lot of CW's current lineup wound up getting canceled in one shot. I don't know. I don't know if they expect this show to have any real legs beyond like maybe 10 episodes tops. I really don't. I mean, but if the parent show can go into like a third season in the fall, that justifies this spinoff even existing. I guess anything's possible on that network, just not keeping very many DC shows around, I guess, anymore. But all right, fair enough. That was Walker Independence. Let's go to another corner of the CW. Here we go. This is a season trailer for the Winchesters. This is a prequel / spinoff to Supernatural, which is arguably CW's most important show. I say is, even though that show's been off the air for a year and a half. It was on the air for 15 years. It was the only show older than the network it was on. And it actually has Supernatural actually holds the Guinness record, if I'm not mistaken, of the longest running American produced science fiction TV series ever, basically. And it would have the longest running science fiction TV show ever, if not for Doctor Who and Star Trek, soundly beating that. At the very least, in terms of the franchise, the age of the franchise. Obviously, the original Star Trek had only like 3 years, but all of the spin-offs that kept that franchise going. And Doctor Who lasted all the way until the 90s before like that long hiatus, and then it wound up getting picked up again in 2005, which is a run they've had to this day. But I guess apparently Supernatural isn't quite as done as we had originally feared. There is a prequel coming called The Winchesters. Let's take a look at this trailer.
The Winchester Story.
I know
it's
that
always
voice.
been a mystery.
Hey, they brought
I
back
need to
Jensen
uncover
Ackles.
the truth about my parents. Was it the hunt for evil that drew them together? Or was it something more? To get to the truth, the real story means going way back to 1972. The day Dad came home from the war.
Love what you done with the place.
I'm fine, Mom.
So what are you gonna do next?
I have no idea.
And the night he met Mom.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Comedy.
Stop helping!
What was that?
That was a demon.
Okay, so you're recasting the younger
You
versions
don't
of
want
the
any
parents.
part of this life.
You're retconning everything to
You were raised to be
all
a
ends.
hunter.
You've been chasing your dad since he walked out our door.
Was my dad a hunter?
This
You
flies
ever
in the
hear of
face
Henry
of
Winchester?
the origin,
I'm married.
It's
the
nice to
origin
officially
episodes
meet you,
that
Mary.
the original
You're
series
looking for your
had
dad too, right?
in
Dad
seasons
was hunting
4
demons.
and 8.
And now
I
he's
want to say.
missing.
Sounds like there's answers in there for the both of us. I am kind of nervous.
Who's your friend? John Luthika.
At least they kept the men of letters part.
Okay to be nervous.
Vividly remember that.
This is your first hunt. At least reach out to another hunter who's free. Carlos is nearby. Our buddy from the alley found a fresh host.
Ooh.
Come on, rookie. Learn something.
Why'd you do Millie Bobby Brown that dirty?
Nothing more hydrating than holy water. You want some?
I'm good, actually. Thank you.
Jimmy, Janice, Jim Morrison.
In case it's not clear how much of a period piece this project is.
Do all hunters have such tough beginnings?
The only thing worse than how it starts for hunters is how it ends.
Really?
So you're all in, huh?
I am. When I was a kid, I thought there was a monster under my bed. And my dad always said, "Don't worry, son. I know how to trap it."
Don't go down this road, John. Maybe one day when you have kids, you will understand.
My whole life, I've been searching for something. Is this good versus evil?
Is the normal night for you?
Since yesterday, yeah.
This is so amusing how far they're going to try to try to milk this franchise further by deliberately doing everything but the story that the fans want, which is the Wayward Daughters thing. With Sheriff Jody Mills and her adopted daughters and that whole family unit.
And there are questions left unanswered, but I'm on a new mission. And
How?
this story is just beginning.
As long as there's a Winchester alive, there's hope.
Oh, no. See,
and this story
I don't
is
like
just
this.
beginning.
I don't like
As
this.
long as there's
I
a
don't.
Winchester
I'm
alive,
sorry.
there's
I don't like this. This is not. Okay. Oh shoot! I missed the stupid logo. Whatever. Look, prequels. I have a problem with prequels. I didn't want to go too far into this, but I'm just going to go ahead and put it out here because, like, I pretty much have to here. CW is kind of like giving us a double shot of prequels, neither of which were necessary. Like, okay. We know how this ends. You can retcon everything, like, to all ends, you know, but at the end of the day, at some point, you have to sort of like maintain some semblance of consistency with what came before, you know, some semblance. The storyline that they're suggesting here is almost entirely unrecognizable in the context of everything that had been established by the original show. This feels like an almost deliberate middle finger to the fans who kept that show. I was about to say that IP, who kept Supernatural running for 15 years. 15 years, people. That's no small feat. I can't imagine what must be going through the minds of like the network brass at CW right now to have greenlit both of these prequels. Like especially Winchesters. This show has no business being conducted in this way. Why did they go with this instead of like, I remember all the social media momentum behind the Wayward Daughters show, and like there was actually a backdoor pilot, if I'm not mistaken, had been written and was actually like pretty far along in the planning stages as far as like as far as how the show was going to work. Especially in parallel with the parent show, because if I'm not mistaken, the original Supernatural show was like in season, I want to say 11, maybe 12 at the time. It ended at 15, but the original show still had some legs in it at the time. They could have easily like had parallel tracks running, but for whatever reason, they just chose to abort that. And the Bloodlines spinoff that they were experimenting with in season 9, to the point where they actually included a backdoor pilot episode in that season. But they just went ahead and canceled the whole plans for the rest of the series around that. So whatever, we'll never get any closure to that story that they suggested way back when. And instead, fast forward 7-8 years later, after that, they give us this instead. I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated with this show. And it's not even out yet. Both of these shows, this and Walker Independence, are going to be hitting presumably in the fall. And I can't say that I'm looking forward to either one. I'll give at the absolute least Winchesters one shot, but and I don't want to spoil too much about like the final episode of Supernatural, even though it's been out for a good couple of years now. The whole series is still on Netflix in the US, if you haven't seen it. But I can't imagine like how they could bring Dean back to narrate this, which is what it seems like they're doing here. I don't like just how much they've stepped all over the original show for the sake of continuing the franchise in this way. I don't like that. That's totally unnecessary and disrespectful to the franchise and the fans to do that. I don't like the way CW did that. But anyway, let's move on. Next item. We have one trailer left. We have a comment. Looks interested. This is from YouTube. Looks interesting, but can't touch Supernatural. Dean and Sam, Dean and Sam, Dean and Sam, exclamation, exclamation. Yeah. That's what I would have to agree with you. That's it's just like I said, it's disrespectful to the brand and disrespectful to the fans. But yeah, we'll see how they deal with that story when that pilot episode, when those first episodes actually hit airwaves in the fall. Let's move on to something else that's going to be hitting airwaves pretty soon over on the opposite end of the dial. This is from CBS, the first official trailer for what looks like a TV series adaptation of the Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jamie Lee Curtis film True Lies, which is an iconic piece of James Cameron filmmaking, which we're actually going to be given a little bit more of later this year when the sequel to Avatar hits theaters in December. You may remember we covered that trailer in our trailer reaction show last week. Apparently, we're getting another piece of content, James Cameron adjacent content, right around the same time. I actually looked into this project a little bit, and James Cameron himself is exec producing this. And if I'm not mistaken, he has a little bit more of a hands-on involvement in the story for the pilot. I don't know in what capacity beyond that he's going to be involved in this, in the production as a whole, other than obviously, providing his blessing. Presumably. But anyway, let's take a look at this trailer. Apparently we have something to go off of, so let's take a look. Here's True Lies from CBS. Oh, I muted it again. Sorry, everybody. There it is. All right.
Hey, sweetie, listen, the conference is running long.
Can't believe that you're gonna be late again. It's been like this for what, months?
It's a sales banquet.
Well, have fun in Cleveland.
Please don't be mad.
Please don't be mad at me. Seriously?
I love my wife. Give me a break.
Okay, mission review. You go in, kidnap the weapons dealer, and get him out. Also, Harry, Helen just texted to remind you about her work barbecue.
I recognize him from CSI Cyber. I don't remember his name, but I've seen him before.
I got 3 motorcycles coming in hot.
Need your favorite mac and cheese?
They're gaining on you. I can't get a shot.
Hey, sweetie.
Hey, just playing a video game.
Nothing too violent, I hope.
Hey, everybody, I'm home.
Oh, good. I was worried about you.
I'm so sorry. I got stuck in Ohio. But I come bearing gifts.
100 places we'll never see, 100 things we'll never do.
I have this need to feel some sort of excitement.
I want passion. Helen, does Harry work late a lot? You have another trip late.
So they're keeping the character names, Harry and Helen Tasker.
Our marriage is in crisis.
Helen, we're going to Paris tomorrow.
What?
Surprise!
Feels like these actors are kind of like phoning in their performances to a certain degree.
I was having an affair. I had to tell her something. So you say you got a secret fantasy football league?
I've been a terrible husband.
No, Harry. I just miss how we used to be.
These look like soap opera performances. Like they're not really sort of like
getting the kids to school on time. I mean, don't you ever want adventure?
Helen, we need to get out of here now.
Unbelievable.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Yep.
Please don't be mad. I'm a spy.
You don't sell computers?
Well...
You've been lying about everything since we met. You put the children in danger.
The kids are fine.
This sucks too. His mommy was sucks one.
The cat lady from next door?
She's a trained assassin.
I'm not sure his daddy was. It's complicated.
What about the time when we were in Maui? You said a helicopter made you airsick?
Oh, honey, please, give this weight.
This can't.
Okay. We're a team, right?
You had a successful mission? Welcome aboard, Helen.
Oh, really?
What's the point of saving the world if you're not doing it for the people you love?
Hey, give me your hand!
You okay?
That's one way to see Paris.
Yeah, they absolutely had to have a helicopter involved in the climax of the pilot. I'm already calling it. That's exactly what they had to do here. That's exactly. It's a shame that it doesn't look like they're gonna have like that iconic sequence on the bridge or whatever. They can't do it shot for shot. I know, like it'd be needlessly redundant on top of just budgetary requirements and stuff like that probably would come into play with that to come in the way of being able to do that exactly like the movie. But it looks like elements of this have potential, but look, I don't like this new Harry and Helen. Like the way that the way that the on-screen chemistry is kind of like happening right now. I know that this is just a pilot. I know that but like the show already has like a season commitment basically by the network. It got past the pilot stage. We're seeing this footage. It's coming soon. We know that this is on the way. And like, it's way too early to sort of like tell for sure about like the chemistry dynamic between the two leads. But I can't, for some reason, just right now, I can't buy them as a married couple the way that I could with Arnold and Jamie's versions of these characters. Like I may be reading too much into this. This may be just me, but I don't know. Like we have the links to this and all the other trailers that we've looked at tonight in the description down below. If you want to go ahead and take a look at that again for yourself. I can't look at this again right now, unfortunately, because we are a little bit over time, but I wanted to go ahead and make sure that we got to the end of this playlist. We had a lot, honestly, to look at tonight. I don't know what your favorite was. Mine was basically a toss up between MULTIVERSUS and Only Murders in the Building, really, because like I honestly, it'd be too easy to say She-Hulk is one of them, I'll be honest, but I will reserve full judgment on that until it actually comes out, because like some of the special effects there was a bit much to sort of buy. I really hope they're not going with that as a final treatment. I've seen a lot of similar traffic online criticizing the VFX in She-Hulk as well, but they have a few months. I'm going to sort of like reserve my judgment on that for now. But I'm really looking forward to Only Murders in the Building. I'm really looking forward to MULTIVERSUS coming out. What about you at home? What were your favorite trailers? Drop a comment down below to continue the conversation. And I will see you right here this coming Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific, for a brand new Weird News show. I hope to see you then. For now, thanks so much for watching. Have a great weekend. Showcase you later.